What's going on, Jeromes? Happy Friday. Made it to the end of the week. Thanks for joining us on the live stream. Friday time, remember, 9 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Time. You guys are rock stars. You guys are the best. Live stream, everyone's checking in. Love to see it. As well as if you catch us on demand, pretty cool too. Two things. So if you want to support the channel, it's Friday. It's payday. And I know it's tough for some people out there right now, but hit that join box down below, become a monthly or a platinum Jerome, or just hit up the Venmo. We got the link in the bio, as well as the first line of the description. Figure out technology is the link to our second channel, Football News Today, which I don't know if I'm in love with the name. We could change it, but it's our macro NFL takes channel. It's not going to impact content, hashtag content here for the Vikings, for the Jeromes, but just sometimes there's things around the league, and as well as we'll even get into college football too, where it's just like, I want to talk about that. And it just doesn't fit in here. So go check that out. Subscribe over there. You guys are the best. Thank you very much. So we got Q&A on a beautiful, wonderful Friday. I'm going to get the hell out of Dodge. Oh, well, actually today, I'm going to the zoo. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the zoo has been shut down because of the Rona and whatnot, but they're doing a drive-through zoo thing. So that should be fun. Hopefully the kids enjoy it. So I'll find out. So the add-on question for Friday, Pop-Tarts or toaster strudel? It's tough for me, right? Well, so in our family right now, no. So I don't know what it is, because you would think like just the average American family would just all be balls deep in toaster strudel and Pop-Tarts. Not really. So the wife's family grew up, they were a big Pop-Tart family. I don't really remember that many Pop-Tarts, but we were big into the toaster strudel when those came out, because that was a big deal, man. Toaster strudel. And I remember being a kid and then a teenager that there would be there was toaster strudel that was breakfast. Oh yeah, toaster scrambles. Oh yeah, get some, man. Because I remember that was breakfast. Like if you're on the go kid, getting ready for high school. Our sports team, sometimes we had morning practice as well. Just like housing like 4 of these and then just going out and trying to win the day. Probably wasn't the best idea ever. But man, guys who are young, just enjoy your iron stomach as it is currently. Your iron stomach, the gullet, the digestive system, the gizzard. We don't have gizzards, but no. But right now, if I had one of those, I would probably shat myself, like extremely quickly. And it's not so much because of dietary changes. It's more old. It just is. There we go. So we put that out to the Q&A. Also, if you want to post a question for the live stream, it's under the community tab on the channel. I failed to mention that a number of times. That's my bad. All right. So first up, World War II General Vince Vaughn. The community is great. It allows COVID-19 to be less bad. Yeah, I do love our little tight-knit community of Jeromes here. You guys are the best as this channel keeps growing and showing. Hopefully there's football. And also, if you're new, try to blend in. You know, it's like we've used the new kid in school analogy before, but really this is more like a prison. It is. So first day, if you're a new Jerome, you got to kick someone's ass. Oh, man. Purple Rain. How many times would you guess that you've watched Diggs, sideline, touchdown? Unbelievable. Some days I use it as my pre-workout. It sends my adrenaline through the roof. Without question, Pop-Tarts. How many times I'll watch it? Probably maybe 100, maybe 150, somewhere in there. Yeah. I don't know, like, I don't find myself just like watching. Well, do GIFs count? Because then it may be 1,000, because GIFs are just, the repeat. So maybe that. Next up, Sir Meep Slot. I feel like a lot of fans think our whole team will last forever and never understand people cut and traded. And then realize how older some guys are. Harrison's 31. Harris is 29. Kendrick's 28. Thielen 30. Rudolph 31. Yeah. Well, they do keep some mid-level veterans, but they have been good at lopping off some of the older guys. So, Linval, love Linval, except he was certainly aging out. You could make a case that Everson has a lot left. I think he does, but he opted out, and they haven't brought him back as of yet. So I think they're perfectly fine. Like Chad Greenway, maybe he overstayed his welcome a little bit. I mean, B-Rob went silently into that good night at about the right time. And then, let's see here. Oh, they got rid of Adrian relatively early. Adrian still had a 1,000-yard season after the Vikings punted on him. But, yeah, no, I think they're better than most teams in terms of turning over and getting rid of some of the older guys who are past their prime. World War II General Vince Vaughn. If you put a frozen s'mores Pop-Tart and a warm blueberry toaster strudel in front of me and said I can only have one, I'm murdering you and taking both. Actually, both sound really good. They do. I didn't think about the frozen s'mores one, though. I may have to revisit that because we said on here before, the kid does love s'mores. S'mores Pop-Tart. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to try it. Except I am concerned, having a daughter because, well, her impression of men will be how I raise her, So is she going to be independent? Is she going to have self-confidence? Is she going to have weird issues on this and that? So I'm always very cautious. Like, you don't want to be the parent that allows the kid no junk food, but also you don't want to be the parent that allows your kid all the junk food. Because if you allow no junk food, then there becomes a really weird energy around it. And it's like, it's like the cliche of the preacher's daughter who, has lived such this oppressed childhood and young life and then gets out and becomes a whore, I feel like people do that a lot with junk food as well as, like, say, drinking. Sure, where say if everything's taboo and you're eating cardboard brown rice and like all these fake like Morningstar meat products, and then you get out and then every single night you're balls deep in $20 worth of McDonald's of DoorDash. Yeah, so I don't want to create that energy. We definitely allow sweets and treats, but I'm worried about introducing something that's so addictive, and then if you have to take it away, and then it's almost like you're creating artificially that fake energy or that weird energy around it. So that's a long way of saying I don't know. All right, next up. Ethan Griffith, brown sugar Pop-Tarts all day. Those do sound good. New theory, Kirk sits out 2020 due to COVID. He is the kind of guy that would do it. Has 2 young kids, hasn't met with his receivers this summer, and his wife had undisclosed health issues earlier this year. I did not know that last part, but I don't know, man. I feel like Kirk is a guy who definitely takes care of his money, but also he's not going to turn his back on $33 million. It's not really his deal. Like, I feel like Kirk would isolate himself from the family for a full season, 16 weeks, 17 weeks plus playoffs, just to, get that bag. Oakview, could Hefe Gladney stay on the Vikings playing at elite level for 10 plus years? Also definitely Pop-Tarts. Well, we've talked about here a lot about Gladney's age. So he was 23 when he was drafted. He's going to be 24 in December. So, 10 plus years, that's a long time. So that would be 10 years. So he'd be 34 the final year of that contract. It's possible, but also, how many 34-year-old cornerbacks are still playing at a high level around the league? Not many. Kyle Rippentrop, which is why things like this are important. Like, there's a big difference. On the surface, there isn't that big of a difference between a 21-year-old drafted player and a 23-year-old drafted player, but there's a big-ass difference between a 31-year-old and a 33-year-old. It just is. Kyle Rippentrop. If you've got time, toaster strudel. If not, Pop-Tart. They take the same amount. Got them in the toaster. What song represents Kirk Cousins? Tennessee Whiskey. I'd say it's Hip to Be Square by Huey Lewis and the News. Hey, a dirty, baby, I got your money. All About the Benjamins. Cash rules everything around me, cream. Get the money, dollar, dollar bill, y'all. I don't know, I have to think about that one. Yeah. Sir Meeps a lot. Pop-Tarts, nothing beats Hot Fudge Sundae. I feel like Pop-Tarts definitely have more flavors. Is there chocolate toaster strudel? I feel like that would be a game changer. or are they strictly in like the fruit? Oh no. Because all right, so I haven't been keeping up with the toaster strudel trades. All right, so they do have chocolate ones apparently, limited edition. But man, yeah, because I feel like every single flavor of Pop-Tart toaster strudel should do a variant of, because it's not like you can copyright s'mores or cinnamon blah blah blah, right? Big Grover toaster strudel definitely. Pop-Tarts is jail food. But toaster strudel is like nice jail food, like club fed. My nickname for Harrison Smith is the Edge Lord. I swear in his free time he wears a trench coat while carrying a book of rules only he abides to. I don't know. I forget who it was, but there was a stand-up comedian who I believe he had a comedy special in like the early 2000s, and he was talking about playing Monopoly and how everyone wants Boardwalk and Park Place, but he liked Baltic Avenue. He liked putting a hotel at Baltic. It's like, oh, you landed on my space. That's $10, bitch. Slumlord. All right, so anytime anything comes up with the word Lord in it, I always think of that, including church. It's like our Lord. Griffin Career, who is your all-time favorite Viking? Randy Moss. Like we said, the top 5 vacillates, but today, Moss, Carter, Jared Allen, Antoine Winfield. Ooh, Everson? Feeling Everson today. Yeah. Preacher Paul, hauling it for all y'all. Pop-Tarts, baby. You can even eat them cold on the go. Yeah, that's the only drawback about toaster strudel is that you do need freezer access. And, yeah. Eric Anderson, toaster strudel. More work, but worth the wait. That's true. It's like most women. In their prime, E.J. Henderson or Chad Greenway. Greenway. Yeah, Chad was a bad dude. Like, E.J. was damn good, too. And also both of them together. Well, they played different positions. So E.J. was that man in the middle. Chad Greenway was thriving at that weak side linebacker spot, just flying around making plays all the time. But yeah, E.J., I love E.J., especially the way he came back. He had a broken femur, which only happened, well, traditionally usually only happens in like car accidents. Car accidents and skiing incidents. So I don't want to play the video. Like, the video is pretty bad. Actually, is it? No. EJ was a dude. Just a stud. Still works with the Vikings. Works in their community department. Does a great job there. Yeah. Also, he made a Pro Bowl after the broken femur, right? Yes. Yeah. 2010 Pro Bowler. Stud. Absolute beast. Also, he's only 39. So that's the thing too. When we were talking yesterday about which Vikings would you give a 10-year contract to, a lot of people said Eric Kendricks, but Kendricks would be 38 by the time that deal is done. So think of E.J. Henderson now, and his final year was in 2011. So he retired relatively young. So he retired about 30. I mean, I love Kendricks, and I think he's really coming to his own. I think he is the best off-ball linebacker in the NFL, but man, 10 years is a long time. Next up, Sir Meepslaw, do you think Anthony Harris' deal comes today? No. Luke K., I would have to go with Pop-Tarts. Brown sugar one is just too good, or blueberry strawberry. Question, what character do you choose when you're playing Mario Kart? The princess or Bowser? One of the two. Zach Ballas, I think should change the rule this year to not have to make cuts after 75, 22-man practice squad, or at least delay 53-man cuts until after trade deadline. Any thoughts on this concept? Would be perfect timing given the number of draft picks that we've had over the past years. I think given the weirdness of the season, they should allow larger rosters, which I think they will. I mean, the new CBA already allowed for a 53-man roster, 2 flex spots on the practice squad. Practice squad expanded from 10 to 12, as well as expands to 14 in a year or two. So I think what they should do, I'm on board with 20-man practice squads. Maybe not 75-man rosters, but yeah, so 20-man practice. Well, actually, that would be 73. So I'm against 75-man squads, but 73 is fine. Yeah, it's just gonna be a weird ass year. But I said bring it. Vikings fans 12 Pop Tarts, and the question is, which current player is most likely to get cut in the future? Which current player is most likely to get cut in the future? Rudy? Yeah, I could see the Vikings getting out of Rudy's contract. Spot Rock, Rudolph. Dun, 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 dun. Actually, if I remember right, there's some pretty decent guarantees or pretty decent cap hits towards the end. Actually, no. All right, so signing bonus, blah, 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 da, da, da. Yeah, so the Vikings can get out from under Rudy's deal. His deal has essentially no guaranteed money after this season, but that does carry $4.35 million in dead cap. Now, if he's a post-June 1st cut designation, that could spread that out over 3 years, 1.45 all over those three, so that wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, he's out of guaranteed money. Yeah. Oh, also, yeah, so Kyle Rudolph on social media put out a picture of a bear. Like him and his family are in Tahoe. Apparently a bear just like showed up. News. Now, see, that's a problem with having a team called the Bears in your division is that you can't find things that you're looking for. It doesn't matter. I just want to know if it was a brown bear or a grizzly. It just looked like a brown bear. Next up is Pulford Skull. Pop-Tarts. So many yummy flavors. Add a cup of black coffee. Strudels are amazing too. Would rather have donuts or cinnamon rolls. I'm not like a huge cinnamon roll person. I guess I would have to go donuts. Like the wife would go cinnamon rolls for sure. For sure. Brian Kukin, this is the most difficult question I've had all year. S'mores Pop-Tarts are amazing, but slap some icing on a strudel, and you've got Ali versus Tyson. Yeah, the only thing that annoyed me was the toasted strudels. Like you had that little like a squeeze pouch of frosting that you never took the time to defrost. And also, yeah, I was a kid, so I didn't know the water. And also, it never came out like the way it showed on the packaging. You know, in the perfect like sweat. They're just like, or if you want to go galaxy brain on the bed, you know, just open it. Take a bite of the strudel and then just squirt some frosting in your mouth. Rinse and repeat. Do that up. Livestream. Let us know where you're watching from. Give a couple of shouts. I always enjoy doing that. You guys are the best. See here. How long do you think it'll be before the Vikings land a Hall of Fame quarterback? Well, Kirk Cousins. Oh, fine. All right, so how long before they acquire the quarterback that eventually makes a Hall of Fame, or how long until a Vikings quarterback makes a Hall of Fame? Because Tarkenton is in, right? Yeah. 20 years? Will they have one within 20 years? Well, Favre goes in as a... No. Sir Meeps a lot. Do you actually think we could trade for Joe Thuney? Would a 3 get done because they don't have one? I think so. I think it would make a lot of sense, but also the Patriots don't make a lot of sense. I mean, Belichick gave up a 2 for Mo Sanu. So I don't know. Brett Vuvuzelos. How many catches do you think Justin Jefferson will have? I'll say over under 68.5. Nice. Tree J. What 3 state cities would you like to see pick up a new team? I think Utah, Oregon, Toronto would be interesting. Well, Toronto is really close to Buffalo. So if they got a team, you know, it would be Buffalo. Screw you, Bills Mafia. And good luck trying to get across the border with all your felonies. I feel like Oregon, I don't know. I feel like they're a little bit too prissy to support a pro football team, even though they do decent with 2 college teams. I think that's pretty much like Seahawks territory anyway. I would just like to see a random place like Utah, Salt Lake City makes sense. I think Texas is too saturated for like San Antonio to make sense. Yeah, St. Louis, if they had a third shot NFL team, because the Cardinals were in St. Louis and then also the Rams, maybe. But I also would love to see a city like Albuquerque, you know, a smaller city that traditionally hasn't been seen as a pro sports town, like Albuquerque or like Billings, Montana. Just plop a team out there and just watch them support it. Or hell, how about Edmonton? Or Edmonton's a little bit far. Well, Winnipeg. Actually, not Winnipeg either. Probably not south of the border. All right, so 3 cities: Albuquerque, Billings, Montana, and I don't know if Salt Lake City would support it. Well, they could have a team in Georgia because then they'd finally have a professional football team. Actually, what about Mobile, Alabama? Just like the Redneck Riviera on the shores. Next up, Zach Ballas. One of the Denver sports stations yesterday, they were discussing how Josh Gordon is going to auction off his Super Bowl ring. Then they mentioned they think Christian Ponder has a Super Bowl ring. Do you know that? I actually don't think that he got one because he was on the Broncos in 2015 for like a week. I don't believe that they awarded him a Super Bowl ring because if they did, I would know about it, and I would be making like relentless fun of it. Next level s'mores using is just s'mores Pop-Tarts instead of graham cracker. Oh, Galaxy Brain shit. All right, a couple shots. Sir Meeps Strong Island, what is up? Brian Kayukin making the haul to Phoenix next month, and I'm dreading that drive. Don't worry, you'll get it done. Talk to Preacher Paul. Like, he'll actually, so I'm friends whose dads are a couple of long haul truck drivers, and like they're old grizzled dudes, and like say that they're what keeps them up is Red Bull and dip, and not talking like taco dip. I'm talking about like good old Zimmer Redman chew. It does keep you up. Like nicotine will wire your ass. Zach Ballas from Northern Colorado. What is up? Connor Guter, Skull from Brainerd, way up norte. What's up? Purple Rain, Skull from Marathon County, Wisconsin. Would you move? Preacher Paul, for all y'all. Hate to say this, Jeromes, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have a season. There'll be a season. There's too much money to lose. That's it. Preacher Paul is at home in Hastings, Minnesota. What is up? Dakota County. Tree J, Skull from Vadnais Heights. What is up? What's going on? You guys are the best. Thanks for coming along on this beautiful, gorgeous Friday. Before we get the hell out of Dodge, Tree J, gotta love the warm apple strudel. Do you think Jason Biggs had sex with a toaster strudel, the apple one? It's weird, right? Do you think by 2021 sports will be back to normal? Probably not. I think that states, countries have gotten a lot better because they have a better handle of what this coronavirus thing is. I think policies and procedures are developing. I think initially there was a lot of humping in the dark, a lot of just like taking stabs, working things out. I mean, when the Surgeon General came out and said, hey, don't buy masks, and then Fauci confirmed this, like, so that healthcare professionals can actually get a hold of masks. Like, don't you think that will have an impact on how people believe information, whether it's good information that's even coming towards you? So that's one of the big reasons why like people who don't want to wear a mask be like, well, I don't know what to believe. So don't believe me then, but believe me now. That does matter. So I think some of the positive data from some European countries, especially from Italy as well as from Asian countries. I mean, Japan has kicked this thing's ass. Same thing with South Korea, except they're I think you will see potentially sports as well as society adopting more of a Asian strategy. Well, a non-Chinese Asian strategy, because you look at like the Philippines, you look at South Korea, you look at Japan, like they've been wearing masks for years, and they've been dealing with all of China's bullshit diseases for a number of years. So I think you may start seeing things like that. I think you may start seeing mask wearing more prevalent, as well as, what annoys me? So for me, I do wear a mask when I'm going into an area that's especially enclosed, especially around other people, just because, it's easy, it's courteous, it's whatever. But I mean, the people who wear the mask driving alone, or I have a buddy who wore like a ski mask when he went on like a 10-mile run like last week. It's like, no, you're away from people, you're in open air, and it's what you're doing is just virtue signaling. It's not like helping mitigate the spread at all. Right. So I do think there's some of that. Also, a lot of it is, hey, wear this mask to show that you're compliant. Like, they don't go into it's like, oh, hey, this is a surgical level N95 mask, or hey, this is something that your aunt made out of a piece of old scrap I saw a mask of someone who had a Homer hanky, and everyone was like, yeah, you're doing it. Like, that bullshit mask ain't stopping anything from anyone. Like, those microscopic particles. Like, if you're a Minnesota sports fan, you know how thin the Homer hankies are, but just like, I'm doing things. Just please. Other than that, I have no opinions on it. What was the question? Sports won't be normal. And if college football gets canceled, would seniors just enter the draft? Yes, I think they would. Matthew Nelson. Favorite and least favorite NFL broadcast crews? Pop-Tarts for me, by the way. Favorite? I do just love Al and Chris. I think Al Michaels is the GOAT. I think he's the best play-by-play man for all sports, frankly. Collinsworth. I understand that Collinsworth is an acquired taste. I think he's gotten really, really good at conveying information, especially high-level information, since he's a part owner of Pro Football Focus. But he relays information where it doesn't seem like he's talking down to you. He makes it very relatable and digestible for the average sports fan, which is great. I do think that is a problem with Pro Football Focus and the analytics community in general, is that a lot of times it is browbeating the average sports fan and trying to be sanctimonious and holier than thou. Yeah, Collinsworth does a really good job at smoothing things out. So that's my favorite. Least favorite. So going back, remember when Mike Goldberg was calling a couple of games, NFL games? It was like 5 or 6 years ago. It was like Vikings and the Bills. So it was way back in the day. And he was bad. Now, Mike Goldberg, Goldie, he was a phenomenal UFC announcer because he was paired up with Joe Rogan for a number of years calling UFC fights. And he is great at that. He was not good at football. He just wasn't. But, current broadcast crews, anything that involves Greg Olsen. Like, I do not understand. Well, Kevin Burkhardt and Charles Davis were amazing. Charles Davis, I believe, moved on to CBS, right? Yeah. But they were good on their own. But for some reason, Fox just keeps trying to shoehorn Greg Olsen into the broadcast, and I don't get it. Like, he's okay. He's not anything to write home about. G-Reg, third leg Greg. I don't get why networks are just bending over backwards for this guy. I do not understand it at all. Like, he's not Romo, and I don't think he's going to be Romo. There's only one Romo. Next up, Patrick Hams. Pop-Tarts, because toaster strudel are the Hot Pockets of breakfast. Hot Pockets. Hot Fudge Sundae Pop-Tarts rule? There you go. Next up is Gage Sandin. Pop-Tarts. Do you trust Amazon Alexa and the Google Home? No. I mean, there's always trade-offs, right? There's no such thing as a free lunch. So it is nice that you can be like, hey, Alexa, play this song that I'm too lazy to move my finger and press two buttons to do. And then, of course, they're getting all your data. And, yeah, to some degree, it's relatively benign. It helps shop. It helps ads and stuff like that. Well, ads is not benign. But then, I don't know, man. I don't want to go full-on tinfoil hat conspiracy, but your information on servers, I don't know. Just makes it feel weird, right? All right, so when phones started doing it's right here, the fingerprint lock thing. I think it was like the iPhone 4 was the first one. I'm just like, yeah, they're never gonna misuse this, having your thumbprint on file, as well as a device that tracks your location at all times because you never go anywhere without your phone, as well as what you're browsing on Google. Or not Google, Safari, whatever. Other than that, nah. Tori Hansen. Friday should just be we get to bitch about everything day. That actually would be great. Tori Hansen. Toaster strudel to me definitely has more taste and is more delicious. But if you're in Crunch, Pop-Tarts all the way. If you had to gauge what age you think Cousins retires, I would say 36. All right, so that would give him 5 more years. Does he spend them all here? I don't know. Max McElroy, would you rather have the Packers win the Super Bowl or football season be canceled? Football season be canceled. I'm selfish like that. XKSKX360 Gaming. How far do you think the Vikings will go in the playoffs if Dalvin Cook holds out? All the way. Super Bowl homeboy. 2,000-yard rushing. Alexander Madison, absolute stud. And Strawberry Pop-Tarts are the OG Like, how long was it just like strawberry flavored? Brett Vuzelis, why have we no added anyone in free agency yet? I don't know. Next up is Oh, yeah, also, I love that the live chat is like the tech support. Yeah, because people asking how come 9 a.m. Friday is like people know. Shout out Tree J, shout out Preacher Paul. Everyone knows. Next up is where are we? Sir Meepslaw, do you think the Vikings could trade Thielen next year? No, because we have a slot guy in Jefferson and sign a deep threat like Curtis Samuel. Oh God, no. I don't want Curtis Samuel now. No, Sam Moros. I would choose Toaster Strudel. How many Vikings this year are going to be selected for the Pro Bowl? Cousins, Dalvin, CJ, Thielen, Brian O'Neill, Daniil, Kendricks, Harrison, Harris, and Mike Hughes. So that's 10. But, of course, they won't play in the Pro Bowl because they're going to be playing in the Super Bowl. Oh, Pro Bowl's probably going to be canceled. Evok, Arc, 75X. Toasted Strudel. I think the Vikings should cut Reef and pay Cook the bag. What do you think? Yes. If that's the only way to get Ezra Cleveland left tackle, yes. Sir Meeps a lot. If Anthony Harris doesn't want to take a 3-year deal or less, then let us have an out in year 1 or 2. I say trade him. Also, go up to get Reef like we did with Klein. Go up to Reef like we did. Oh, yeah, Reef should take a pay cut. Even if he remains a left tackle, frankly, I think he should take a pay cut. Luke K., what is a good purchase every guy should have in his man can? In his man cave? I'll go man cave. I don't know. It's like I feel like the TVs have gotten so good that you don't really have to go balls out and get like the 90-inch 4K, 5K, whatever K they're up to. So I've never been like that big of a TV guy. Like we have 2 TVs down here. I think one's a 40-inch and one is a 32-inch down in the studio. So it's not like massive, but a good TV. It's really about it. I mean, man caves are really pretty simple. I guess if you're going to watch movies, a good sound system. That's about it. W Day Robbie, Toaster Strudel. I ate rat poison. What's my likelihood of survival? Well, are you a rat? Are you informing for the FBI? That's it. Oh, by the way, The Departed. I really do need to do a top 10 of my favorite movies of all time. The Departed is flirting up there. It's up there. It's a good movie. Pop-Tarts for sure. Brown sugar or wild berry. Now, if you said Pop-Tarts or toaster scrambles, I'd have the latter all day, every day. Yeah, well, I was including scrambles with the strudels. Yeah, because toaster scrambles absolutely win the day. With the Vikings, 3rd to overall pick with the Vikings next year, do you see Tanner Morgan as a legit option? I could see Morgan being mid-first round pick. I could see Tanner Morgan going in the Jordan Love, Dwayne Haskins type area. I think he is legit good. Also, that would be the first Gophers quarterback drafted in the Super Bowl era. How insane is that? But then also you remember they haven't really had any good quarterbacks. Right? Tony Dunn. Well, hold on. Does Tony Dungy count? Because he was a Gophers quarterback, but he was drafted to play cornerback. Oh, he went undrafted in 77 anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, but like, who else is good? Like Adam Weber was undrafted. He had a cup of coffee with the Broncos. Asad Abdul Khalik was good. He wasn't drafted. Mitch Leidner obviously wasn't drafted. Chris Strebler wasn't drafted, but now he's with the Cardinals. They're gonna have him play Taysom Hill. That's it. That's it. Thor Von Johnson. Pop-Tarts, hot room temp, and frozen. Yeah, I didn't even think about the frozen Pop-Tarts angle. Everything's better frozen. If the Vikings have a bad season and the offense struggles, do you think Zimmer loses his job to Kubiak? Vikings have if the defense struggles, maybe. Which I'm guessing that's what he meant here. Man, if the offense struggles, I wonder what would happen. If Zimmer would fire Kubiak, I don't know. World War II General Vince Vaughn. Do you think the Vikings roster has too many overlapped lunch pail defensive linemen? No. You could never have enough. So current lunch pail guys. I do consider Daniil a lunch pail guy just because of his work ethic, but he is blessed with elite talent. So lunch pail guy. Michael Pierce definitely a lunch pail guy. Afadi's certainly a lunch pail guy. Zettel for sure. Lynch, Wanham, Hercules. Actually, every single Vikings defensive lineman is a lunch pail dude. This is. Sam Morris. Do you think the Minnesota Vikings... Oh, Kenny Willekes? Man, Kenny Willekes is the full lunch truck. Vikings would have the best offensive line in the world if it was Ezra, Thuney, Bradbury, Warford, O'Neal. That's better than Viagra. I just went from 6 to midnight right there. Charlie Boltman. You ever watch the QB School with JT O'Sullivan? It's a good way for fans to learn about basic NFL pass protections and quarterback reads. Check that out. As well as there's a guy who does quarterback videos. I forget his name. Have to look him up. But also like Dan Orlovsky stuff. Before he hooked up with ESPN, he cranked out a lot of really good stuff as well. The YouTubes. Sir Meeps a lot. Diggs. And he isn't comfortable playing the season. I think he realized how trash Josh Allen is and will request a trade next year. Whatever excuse, the road number's done. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, what would it be if Diggs demanded a trade back to the Vikings? That would just be so delicious. And then we could just be like, no. Actually, I would bring him back for third round pick. World War II General Vince Vaughn. Have you ever wore Duluth Trading Company buck naked underwear? Wow, game changer, boxers or briefs or boxer briefs. I do wear the boxer briefs. I'm not picky about brands. I have tried the Duluth ones. They're super comfortable. Have tried the Duluth. Have tried the, God, what are they called? Like 2 first names. They're not Sean John. What's that underwear company called? Oh, Tommy John. Yeah. All right. So Tommy John, I have tried those. I'm not overly picky. I have found like the Champion brand are fine. Get cotton or get the mesh ones. Yeah. Pulford Skull. Bears lover Adam Rank said this yesterday in his trash article about the Bears going in 2020 with Jerome. I know the Vikings fans like to say their team wasn't trying in Week 17 with a playoff spot locked in the back of quarterback. I'll tell you that we beat the Vikings' best quarterback on that day. Sizzle. Take it down, Sean Mannion. I really like Adam Rank. I think he's funny. He is an unabashed Bears fan, which I weirdly respect. But that's a good line. That's a good line. Come on. Charlie Boltman, Oklahoma City should get a football team. Nobody will want to play in Canada because of customs at the airport. Yeah, probably. OKC would be a good city. I think they could support. I would rather have OKC than, say, San Antonio. I think that'd be good. Luke K, what is your favorite homemade dinner you can make? Steak. But something that's actually labor intensive. I don't know, lasagna. Lasagna's up there. So the wife really likes beef stroganoff. That's not a euphemism. Also, that's what we have every Christmas Eve. So our Christmas Eve route is so you got the egg noodles. That's the only thing that you don't make. But we make I make the mushroom sauce from scratch. Saute up a bunch of mushrooms. Take that out. You got the mushroom juice. Use that as a base. Make a little roux. Then also reduce some heavy cream. And then we use since Christmas we use ribeye. Yeah, just like so you got all that fat melted down. It's like good stuff. Other than that, like barbecue, brisket, ribs. Pretty simple stuff. Brian Kayukin. Will the NFL work this year if they test every other day? Players that go positive are out for at least 2 weeks. Soccer is trying to have issues with 10-plus players testing positive. If you're going to play, the majority is going to I think what's going to happen is, as of right now, because you see a lot of people testing positive but being asymptomatic. Now, the current parameters in play would be you can get back to play, but you have to pass 2 tests within 24 hours of each other and be like 5 days removed from the first test, or paraphrasing, it's something similar to that. I think what will happen is that the season will go on. You'll have larger rosters. At any given time, you're going to have a handful of dudes on the team that have tested positive and are sitting out. But I mean, there's too much money at stake for the owners, as well as hell for the players. I mean, a lot of the players simply cannot afford to take a season off, and it's a lot more players than you would think. So I think somehow, some way, people will power through, and we'll have a season. Because, again, too big to fail. That certainly applies to the NFL as well. And that is it. Happy Friday out there, Jeromes. You guys are the best. Have yourself a safe, awesome weekend. We're 1 week closer to the NFL returning on time. But again, thank you very much for coming along. If you want to support the work, Venmo, you know what to do, as well as, the first line of the description. Take a moment right now. Subscribe to our other channel, Football News Today, macro NFL topics. Go subscribe there. Have yourself a weekend, boys. Skol.